Hello, everybody. It's Kimberly here, and I hope you guys are all doing well and good. I haven't put up a video in quite some time. I've been taking kind of a break from all that stuff while I get set up in something new that I've started. I actually joined Bounce Right Back Massage Therapy as an intuitive coach. And if you guys have followed me for a while, you know that I've been doing intuitive coaching since probably 2015. But now, if you're in the Edmonton area, I actually do intuitive coaching in person at Bounce Right Back Massage Therapy, but we also have virtual coaching, so I can flip back and forth. The reason why I decided to join Bounce Right Back Massage Therapy is because, yeah, virtual is good, but I really like that in-person connection. And the coachings that I have been doing have been really, really like just amazing and awesome. And so that energy exchange has been really, really good for me. But I still have the virtual option. Bounce Right Back Massage Therapy has massage therapists, an acupuncturist, somebody who does Reiki, and now intuitive coaching. So if you are in the Edmonton area, we'd love to see you. Um, so I've been taking kind of a hiatus to kind of work on stuff for me, the automatic writing and stuff. I really needed a break, but now it's coming back full force. Um, However, now that I have the space to do some videos for you guys, I'm going to try to do more of those. I used to be on the YouTube channel Talking with Ghosts. That was my channel. But I will probably use Instagram more. That's just an FYI. And there's another channel that I have that I might just switch to that one, but I'll keep you posted. Also, what's been changing in my world is that I started going to a spiritualist church. And, even though you guys know that I talk to spirit and I have, friends in spirit, I never really considered myself a medium. And, I've channeled and stuff, but I've never really considered myself to fall under the umbrella of medium. And I don't know why. It's kind of weird for me, but it's just something that I never called myself. It's like an intuitive coach, or automatic writer. But I started going to this church in Edmonton, the spiritualist church, and in the last couple of weeks, things I've been seeing things, I've been hearing things, I've been really just like things that these spirits want me to share with people, and so today I had this experience of this woman came in. She was going through something, this like a live woman. She was going through something, and I offered her some love. And then we went into meditation. There's a part in church where we go into meditation. And, I closed my eyes and connected because usually during the meditation part in church, I usually go into light language just to, kind of offer it to the room and then practice it myself. But I was visited by this woman, um, and she was dressed in like old, I would say World War I clothing, and she was obviously a nurse because she showed me going around to various cots of soldiers and nursing them. She told, I heard her name is Claudine, but she immediately corrected me and said Claudine. So I'm not sure if that's an accent or something. And she she showed me that not only in World War I was she a nurse, but she also did nursing in World War II and Vietnam, I believe, the Vietnam War. So, and she says that those lives were all different. She was a different person, but she was that nurse in those lives. And I found that like really, I'm like, okay, so why are you here? And like the previous days, I had been getting the messages because I knew somebody who has been going through some mental stuff. And she went to, she finally got an appointment with a psychiatrist, because in Alberta, it's really difficult to get an appointment with a psychiatrist. And I got this message, and then Anton came in, Anton Yelchin, and he said that, anyway, this person, I'll back up, this person really confused the psychiatrist. He's like, I have to send you for some more testing, because I really don't know, like, you're on the cusp of this, cusp of this. Like, he was like kind of pulling from all these options. So she's needs to go for more testing. And then Anton came in, and he was saying that mental illness is changing so much that psychiatrists out there, things that used to fit into one thing are now not really fitting, and they're trying to catch up in diagnosing. So disclaimer, before we get into it, I'm not a professional, a medical professional. I am not a psychiatrist. I am not a medical doctor. I am not a psychologist. So anything that is said in these videos, like entertainment purposes only, but you take what resonates and leave the rest for another time. Anton coming in, and he's been with me for, a couple of days now, trying to, like, this is like a big deal, especially because we're seeing a lot of mental illness in the younger generation, like the kids, teens, preteens, and young adults. It's changing so much because of the new souls coming in. And honestly, I'm hearing that they're not used to the energy of what is going on right now. And so because they're coming in with these new DNA codings, new quantum codings, the brain isn't working like it used to. And so it's being fragmented and neural pathways are being fragmented in different ways than what the psychiatrists and psychologists out there are used to. And it's not happening fast, like really quickly. It's actually happening slowly, but the slowness has come to some sort of juncture where it's very apparent that the people who have or are being told that they have mental illness are going down all these avenues of testing because they're not fitting into the boxes according to what has been. So we can see the evolution of Earth, actually, and it's kind of a crappy way to see the evolution of Earth, but we can see the evolution of Earth coming into things like new diseases, mental health issues. Okay, thank you. So Anton's here, and he's telling me about I don't know what part of the African continent this is going on. I just heard north, but there's like a new illness that isn't labeled yet. And apparently a couple of kids, because it's shanty towns and they're starving, they ate a bat carcass. And so, okay, thank you. So Anton is saying it's like one of these new communicable diseases. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, from animal to human. The animals have had it for quite some time, like this disease that these kids contracted because they ate a bat. The bat has sort of evolved to not feel this illness, but because now that the humans can contract this illness, the human body is not used to this illness, and so it's dying quite quickly. So that he's like, that's just an example of what's kind of going on. But the evolution of the human being is also, he's saying we can't forget about the evolution of the animal connected, the evolution of the plants and nature, connected to the evolution of the animals, connected to the evolution of human beings, connected to the evolution of insects, connected. It's all connecting, but all those connections are kind of in a really different way. And so they're showing up in illnesses, it is as a different way. The neural pathways are showing up as a different way in the brain. The nervous system in the body with the kids that are being born now is presenting in a different way. Like you see these reels about, babies born during COVID. It's a different, breed of baby because they can do more sooner than babies that were born in the early 2000s or the 1990s or whatever. So everything that's going on here is part of the evolution. And I'll get back to the nurse in a minute, but Anton's talking right now. And he's also saying that people are very concerned about endangered species. Specifically, he's showing me the polar bear. But he's saying that, yes, it's happening. The distinction of certain animals is happening more quickly than what was meant to happen just because of the environment issues. And in some ways, Mother Earth is actually trying to play backpedaling in some certain cases, or trying to catch up in some certain situations, specifically the polar bear. People are worried about the bees, which of course, yes, the pollinators. However, the whole backpedaling and catch up that Mother Earth is kind of balancing through right now is trying to get certain species to evolve. So they're going to look different, but they're kind of going to be doing the same thing. So people's concerns about, the animal kingdom and the insect world and stuff like that, and things dying out. Yes, obviously, like we fucked up a bit. I don't. He's saying it wasn't really supposed to happen at the speed that it's happening to, but there is purpose to it. So again, the backpedaling or the pushing forward to try to meet that instance in the middle, kind of, it's like it's happening full force. He's like, the reason why there's more ET sightings is because there's more ETs involved in getting Mother Earth into that like state of balance. I just have to make sure that I'm recording. Yeah, I'm recording because I just went into it and I have to make sure. So, okay, thank you. He's saying that humans haven't been exactly helpful in the conservation of nature. There have been some groups that have been really important in the conservation of nature and helping Mother Earth rebuild, either that would be physically or spiritually, energetically. Like he's showing me a group of people that are knee deep in lake water, and they're coming together in that water and meditating together in this lake water. And their energy is actually supporting the evolution, growth, and healing of the energy of Mother Earth. And okay, thank you. They're like trying to stop an earthquake from happening on the other side of the world. And the fact that they're knee deep in this water, because water channels, like it kind of channels throughout the globe. That vibration of that water is traveling to this place where the earthquake is about to happen, and they stop the earthquake. So that's one part of humans trying to help Mother Earth, and then the physical, of course, like the recycling and the air pollutants, trying to get control of that. Okay, thank you. He's saying that COVID, part of the purpose of COVID was to show humanity what could happen when everything just stopped and cleared. He's like, part of COVID was to make, he's saying with the human and with Mother Earth, the clarity comes, like the clouds part, and like, hallelujah. That was part of the COVID, but people were so attached to the fear of COVID that a lot of people neglected to see the clouds parting and saying, and the earth giving the example of what could happen with taking a step back, is what he's saying. So in regards to mental illness and physical ailments and all this like stuff that we humans go through, that's changing. Okay, thank you. That was part of COVID too. COVID showed what, um, okay, he's saying metamorphosis of, a virus, how it can affect like something that an animal lived with for so long, and then a human gets it, and then you're right. And he's like, that's different than what people are doing in the lab, growing viruses to harm people. He's saying the more natural. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay. He's saying the more natural a virus evolves on its own, he's like, the more dangerous it can be. And he says it's not to create fear with people, um, because actually there are physicians and scientists that know about these things, and so the medicine is coming, it's already there. So it's not to scare people, it's just to show people how heavy, how huge the evolution cycle of this whole, planet Earth is becoming. So back to the nurse. Um, she came in, and because Anton was talking about the mental illness, she came in and she was talking about how she had lived through World War One, World War Two, and specifically the Vietnam War. She was a nurse through all of those in different lives. So she wasn't a young nurse in World War One and then continued to be a nurse in World War Two. No, she had World War One nurse. She was a nurse in World War Two as a different person, still female, and then she was a nurse in Vietnam War as a female but a different person. And okay, thank you. So she started. She says she started nursing in her midlife. So she was about 40. She didn't start nursing, but these were when she was a nurse in the ward, like in her 40s or whatever. She while she helped soldiers with their physical wounds, the the most the best thing that she loved to do was to help the mental wounds of the soldier. And while I'm saying this, I'm getting really emotional, like I really want to cry, um, because she's saying right now everything in the physical kind of like floats down from the mental. And so her focus, which when she could do it, her focus was the mental, about what the soldiers saw, what they lived through, what they experienced. That was all trapped in this mental, case that we call the brain. And then it filtered down. And while they were injured, shot or, blown up or whatever, if the mental part wasn't there per se, the physical ailments would have healed a lot faster and a lot better. But because of everything that happened in the mental trickled down also like rain onto the wounds, the healing process got more difficult. And she's okay. And she wants to address the PTSD and the assumption that that people with PTSD, they've seen horrible things. It's coming back to haunt them, basically. And and of course, yeah, she's like paramedics, firefighters, police officers, soldiers in war, people just, your ordinary life, like day to day living out war, like war in Ukraine and the Middle East and stuff. It's obvious that they will have some sort of PTSD in their life. But she says, now is not the time to negate the fact that people are actually having PTSD symptoms from the uh, energetic energetic evolution of the earth. So she's saying to me, people like to call it their awakening, um, but there's very little evidence, or there's very little emphasis put on the PTSD of a spiritual awakening. Um, she says this is going beyond what people would consider or call a dark night of the soul. Uh, she's saying a spiritual awakening is usually birthed from something traumatic. It can be. Okay, she takes that back. She says not usually, but she says in a lot of instances, a spiritual awakening happens with something that has come about that is quite traumatic. But she says in the everyday, there needs to start a conversation about the PTSD that is happening, just with the energy shifts of the everyday. Um, okay, she's like, the human beings that are being born right now, some of them are actually being born, with symptoms of PTSD. But what is happening is that because it's like PTSD happens with like the traumatic events, um, she's saying that the people in the medical field are getting a little bit lost in how to diagnose this, because people, like she's showing me the age of 8 even, are showing signs of PTSD when their family life has been okay, and they're hesitant in diagnosing PTSD, because really, the word she's using is they should not have PTSD at such a young age with just living the day-to-day life. She's saying that the PTSD symptoms that the children are coming in with, um, she's saying that it is actually coming from the birth process, and these kids are remembering the birth process and how that, uh, traumatic it can be. Okay, there's also, kids coming here who are actually taking, thank you, the, stories from generations. Um, okay, she's saying generational curses, which I don't like. I don't like that word, but she's saying that the babies have been grown in these, traumatic family lines. And while the mother who is birthing them has broken that cycle, they're still carrying that trauma, within the cells of their body. And they're here to, so the mother has broken the cycle. The children are here to clear out that, the trauma within that family line. This is huge because I'm actually experiencing this personally. So, to have something like that explained to me is actually making a lot of sense. In my own family, I'm a cycle breaker, and then it would, and I do feel like sometimes, like, my husband can be a cycle breaker. I think that there have been a lot of cycle breakers being born, um, 1970 to 1985. There's a lot of cycle breakers, but then the children that they bear are here because the cycle has been broken. Now they're working out generational trauma. And that, she says, that she's reminded me, like, the PTSD is from the generational trauma that they haven't necessarily experienced in their life, but that is being carried within their cells. Holy crap. So she's like, it gives the whole new, meaning to mental illness. And because these kids don't exactly fit into certain, categories, um, there's a lot of work being done in trying to figure out what these new things, what to call these new things, so that there's a lot of studies. She's like, before it used to be people would have a mental illness and they would fit into this category, like, for real. Now it's like, okay, this person has anxiety, this person has, I don't know, like OCD, they have borderline personality disorder, so it's all this stuff, right? So they're fitting into all these categories. And then, oh, well, now this person thinks she has, or like ADHD or ADD. And so there's another category. And so, like, the physicians, because there's so many categories, they're not really sure where to put them. And so, they're getting confuzzled. However, there is new diagnoses coming that will actually say, okay, no, this is now what we're going to call this. And really it's going to give people a lot of awareness. It's going to give them a lot of peace that, they're not a lost cause. Um, okay, thank you. There's going to be psychiatrists coming. Give me a number next 15 years, she's saying. And it's already started, but it's going to be like a whole practice where it's like the Dalai Lama really wanted to get the spiritual and the science together as one. And actually, that is going to happen, she's saying, first with the uh, psychological, mental, and spiritual. So the practice is going to be they're going to have their meds, they're going to have the medical, and then they're going to have like the spiritual, the meditation circles, the prayer circles, all that stuff, whatever floats your boat. And that is actually what she was saying about the trickling down, like the mental creating like the physical, or the mental feeding the physical ailments. It's going to be its own medicine, one and the same. It's funny that this is coming up because in church they were talking about how there is studies about how meditation can actually, it's being studied in the scientific communities about how like miracles can happen with meditation and physical healing, right? But she's saying it's more specific towards mental illness, that there is going to be sort of like a shared kind of therapy where it is like spiritual and the physical, like the medications and stuff coming together, and we will see a marked difference in how mental illness. Okay, she's saying people are spiraling and how dark the mental illness can get right now. And it's like going like this, but now it's going to be like going like this coming up in the next 15 years. Wow, that's crazy. So Anton actually wanted me, I just took a pause because he wanted me to automatic write a message about this. He says he wanted it word for word from him. So I'm just going to read what I wrote through, like using automatic writing. So he says, mental illness is a big deal right now because all the energies are breaking open and breaking down. People are feeling lost and they don't exactly know why. Add to the fact that science is having a hard time keeping up with what's happening on an energetic level. The two are compounding each other. And then he says, people go into spirituality believing that it will always feel good, and it does. But sometimes, just like the lotus pushes through the mud to come to the surface, the person is pushing up through the mud themselves, and that doesn't feel great and can actually be suffocating. Yeah, and I agree with that because when I started my spiritual journey, I thought it was going to be like rainbows and butterflies and unicorn poop, but I really had to get to know myself. I really had to get to know patterns that I live. I had to get to know everything, and I especially had to get to know love in the aspect that I needed to love everything that I really didn't like about myself. Because part of spirituality is, a lot of spiritual, everything like is about unconditional love. The first person that we tend to put conditions on is ourselves, right? So it's learning how to be unconditionally loving to us personally, and then being able to be unconditionally loving to everybody else in our life. And that's a tough thing to do, especially when we're going through it mentally, emotionally, physically, we're going through it. And it can be tough to accept that in ourselves, let alone accept that in other people, right? And Anton's saying that there's a lot of spiritual breaking points happening, which are manifesting as mental breaking points as well. I don't know if I said this because I tried to start this video several times and this one stuck. So I don't know if I told you her name, but this nurse's name, she in church, I was like Cla, and then she said, I heard Claudine, and then she corrected me and she said Claudine. So I don't know if I said that before because, like I said, I tried to start this video a couple times and something always went wrong. Um, Okay, so she says that the huge lesson for her in the unconditional love was that she she felt such unconditional love for these soldiers that she nursed, male and female, because you have to remember that females, they were affected by the wars too, and sometimes they ended up in these hospitals too. So she was so compassionate and she was so loving to these people who she nursed, trying to get that mental awareness with them, and understanding where they were mentally after so much trauma. But she had to forgive the fact that in every single life of these wars, so World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War, while she nursed all these people, in those three lives, she died alone. And so um, she says that is going to be one of when she, and she's going to be coming back. Give me okay, 50 years. She says she's going to come back in 50 years. And as a child, she, um, that is going to be one of her things that she's choosing to experience, is the mental illness that comes with um, having compassion for all these people, nursing all these people back to where they're standing, where they're healthy enough to be by themselves or with go back to their families. But she, in all these lives, died alone. And so part of her, she says, mental illness is going to be because she has to understand what true forgiveness is, because in all those circumstances, dying alone after being so involved and so helpful with trying to get people, back up to some sort of normalcy and to be by themselves when they die, it's something that she her spirit has a lot of frustration with, but she knows that the earth plane, there is an opportunity to work out that frustration and forgive, okay, thank you. She says she has a lot of frustration with the people, and she says it's normal feeling like, kind of envious or jealous of the people that you've helped, but it's not reciprocated, and you end up like being by yourself all the time. So part of her earthly thing is that they're all like loving there where they are right now, but when she comes back here, that's going to be stored in her cellular system, and she's going to have those experiences with people, and she's going to demand like some sort of reciprocity, because mentally and in her energetics, that's what it's going to feel like. So her life lesson when she comes back in 50 years is going to be like forgiveness of those lives, what she carries. And it's going to, she says she's picking 50 years from now, because that's when the mental illness awareness and all the changes in the mental diagnoses and stuff, and that she's going to be one of those way showers in the science and the spiritual of mental illness coming together and being able to dive into that. And that's like super awesome. She wants to be sort of like pave the way for that to happen. And she says she's going to be one of these people that starts that process happening just from her mental illness. She says, and she agrees with me, because I don't like calling it mental illness, but what else do I have? And she says she doesn't like that either. But it's the language, and that's what we have. So I'm actually just going to pull a card on um, the mental illness of right now, because yeah, especially since all I've been tried, like, I don't know why. I don't usually listen to politics. I don't usually dive into that. However, I've been really emotionally affected by what's been going on with the world lately, the state of the world, especially the Trump administration, and what they're doing. And I've been really emotionally affected. And usually I wouldn't be. I'd be like, okay, well, this is just Earth, right? But it's been really, really heavy lately. I've been feeling that in my heart and soul, um, which has made me go through it too, right? So I'm just going to see what Claudine wants to say. Yeah. Okay. So this makes really a lot of sense. So I'm just going to show that inner temple. Devotion, tune into the portal of your heart. Okay, so the focus, um, emotional healing, emotional issues that arise. There's a lot of like air surrounding that. So she's showing me a person with like a lot of sword energy from the tarot going like around the head. And she's like, because the air energy is so prevalent around their head, they forget and neglect the heart space. And the heart space is actually the portal of the unconditional. The heart space is the portal to the divine, the source, the God source. And we don't realize that because that's like a portal within us. Um, that's our God source energy. It's like that it can take the mental, the air, the swords. It can take all that. It's like she's saying, lay down your sword, lay down your mental energy, lay down your thinking, your snowball thoughts, and lay all of that down. And she's like, surrender that to the inner wisdom of the inner temple. She says, I used to go to have a reprieve from caring for patients. She says she used to go to this church. She says it's a church. I'm seeing it as a pile of rubble, but she's like, I used to go to this church because I needed to have a break from the mental of what I was dealing with and seeing and tune into my heart where my compassion lives so I could continue to help these people get back up to standing. So she's like, it can be very, very difficult for people to, lay down the sword, lay down the fight, and really tune into what the truth of what they're feeling. What is the truth of what you're feeling? Because a lot of people equate what they're thinking about to how they're feeling. And in most cases, it is not the same. It's actually very different. The mental is more the extreme. The what they're feeling is more the truth. So it's like the question to ask yourself every day is like, how am I feeling? It's like, not what am I thinking about? What do I have to do during the day? What do I have to do? What do I have to do? What do I have to do? It's like, how am I feeling? First thing in the morning, how am I feeling today? And acknowledge the feeling, because when you're doing that, you're acknowledging what your heart is going through at that moment. And she's like, right now in this day and age, the heart energy is actually trumping the mental energy. We want the heart, the feeling, the love, the devotion, the emotion, the connection to nourish the mind. We don't necessarily want the mind, the thinking, the snowballing, the frustration, the anger, the reaction to nourish the heart space. A lot of what's happening right now with humanity is the mental is going into the heart. It's not nourishing it. It's kind of shrinking it a little bit. So there's that portal, that door is actually not as wide open as it should be. So now we got to try to nourish the heart space. So that feeds the mental first. And then the path, the clarity, and the path forward becomes a lot clearer. Um, yeah. So she's saying that people are here, mind and heart, kind of. She's saying the two people are mind and heart. So they're here, and there's trying to be a balance before they can walk into the portal and up to the source creator. The source creator is always within us, but she says what's blocking it is that we can't get past this fight between the mental and the emotional, right? And when we come into balance with that, when we start nourishing it, shared experience, it's not always about the mental, it's not always about the emotional, it's a shared. That's where the wisdom space is. The wisdom will take us through that portal up to source, which is really, really super beautiful. um I get it, people are going through it, there's a ton of loss out there. Okay, thank you. She's saying that the loss people are feeling is creating reactions and, how do I say this? Blocking them into seeing the truth of how they're presenting to the world. And it's creating like a lot of spiritual sidestepping and not um, owning your place in disagreements or stressful situations. She says there's, because of the mental and it's not even mental illness. It's like a lot of sword energy. She's showing me a lot of sword, a lot of air energy in the mind, in the brain space, that it's just creating a lot of the illusions are getting thicker. The clarity is quite foggy. It's like stepping out of a shower and the mirror is all foggy and you're trying to wipe it away, but it gets foggy again. There's a lot of that happening. The illusions are feeling, the illusions of the world, the matrix of the world is feeling very, very, very real to people, and that's okay. That's okay. She says she's working hard in a lot of areas around the world to make sure that people are tuning into more of their heart space so that they can continue to live in a more divine, truthful, and light way. She wants me to pull one more card before we close. So, they're going everywhere. Yeah, I mean, so. Yeah, I love that. Who or what is triggering you? We tend to use the word trigger a lot because it's the only word we have where we're reacting. A trigger is just a reaction, right? So, she's like, that's why today, she's like, start today. And she's like, take all those swords, lay them down, and look in the mirror and talk to yourself and like really like, Kimberly, how are you feeling today? What are you really feeling? Besides all the mental chatter, besides all the mental blah, blah, blah talk, what is your heart saying? What is your heart trying to say to you? And she says, like, that is a good example about how we can work with our heart energy to just take a moment, take like 1-2 minutes, and just checking in with our reflection in the mirror and saying, hey, I know what you're thinking. I know you've been overthinking a lot, but how are you feeling? Like, what is the first emotion that pops into your brain, or pops into your heart that you can identify as? And how are we going to work through that? And like, if it's joy, like, okay, what can we bring into our life that will create more of that joy, right? And who or what is triggering you? She says, usually the first trigger in anybody's life is your reflection. It's you. We tend to put the blame and judgment on other people for triggering us, but they're a reflection of what we're going through at any given moment. So if they're getting us to react to something and they're the reflection of us, what are we seeing in them that we need to deal with ourselves, forgive ourselves for, love ourselves more about, that kind of thing. So, okay. She's saying when spirituality first started, there was a lot of talk about mirroring. There was a lot of talk about reflection and other people. We are the mirror to the other people. She's like, but she says, people haven't seen it yet. Really, in this for sure, she's just saying like this for sure, 2025, because 2026 is kind of going to ease up. But 2025, there is going to be like a height, like a cherry on top. This is the top point of the reflections, the mirroring, the triggering of people, because now we're like, oh, actually, that's actually me. That's actually what I'm thinking about. That's actually what I'm snowballing about. That's actually what I'm whinging about. That's actually what, and it doesn't always have to be like the bad stuff. She's like, people can actually mirror the good stuff back to you if you let them. But we're so uptight. We're so waiting for the next shoe to drop. We're so ready for a fight that what's triggering is mostly the negative or the shadow emotions that are coming up. Yeah. Okay. She's saying she's seen a lot of stuff. And after seeing a lot of stuff, she had a lot of PTSD symptoms too. But while she gave and gave and gave, she never received, really rarely ever received that love and support back. The only thing that kept her, she's going to say the word sane. She's saying sane. The only thing that kept her sane was that broken down, blown up pile of rubble that she called the church. That's the divine. She's like, take religion out of the equation. She didn't even know what church it was. She didn't know, she said this was Europe. So it's Christian denomination. She didn't know, but that was the source of her. I don't think I still have the card, but that was the spot of divinity that she went to nourish herself back to her heart space, because she couldn't find anybody to do that for her while she was helping all these people who needed her light, who needed her love to love them back to standing. So she's like, for mental awareness and for all these like ailments that people are feeling, and she says her heart really goes out, and she wants to give everybody a huge hug for what they're going through right now. She says it's really important to take that step back and just touch base with your heart space, with your reflection in the mirror. Okay, Anton's interrupting a little bit. He's saying that, he's like, I'm not interrupting. No, he's not interrupting. He's kind of saying his piece, but he's like, he says, if you're seeing or feeling a lot of triggering within you when you go out into, and it can be like really like small annoyances. Like today, friggin' Edmonton streets, the potholes are horrendous right now. And I hit a pothole really bad because it's been raining. And so you couldn't see, the friggin' pothole. So my tire hit it quite hard. And I was super annoyed. Friggin' like fix the roads, right? But he's like talking about that, like that, those daily triggers that come up that really, that you like send you over the edge. He's like, that's just an opportunity to come back to your heart and okay, what is this really about? Like, if you're having a bad day and there's a lot of things that are triggering you, what is this really about? Could we get honest with ourselves? Um, okay, and he's saying that now is the time where people are being asked to really get honest with themselves. Okay, a lot of the mental anxiety people are feeling is because they are dimming their light for other people. They are making themselves uncomfortable to make others comfortable. Um, and he's like, the next few months, especially spring, that's all stopping, and there's going to be like a real like big people are going to lose their temper. They're going to be like, okay, I've had enough. I've had enough. Like, I can't do this anymore for you. And people are going to become unrecognizable. So to each other, and they're like, when did this happen? Like, since when is she like that? Like, she's never like that. What makes her think now that she can treat me like that? Well, no, she wasn't treating you like anything. She was just, that's how, she's up to high dough with things, and now it's her turn or his turn or whatever. So that is the message for today. Again, I am doing in-person intuitive coaching in the Edmonton YEG area, and you can book a coaching at bouncerightbackmassage.com. And I'm also doing virtual. So if you're not in the Edmonton area, I can also do virtual coachings. And yeah, I'm hoping to do more videos now that I have sort of the space to do that. And this is safe space. You're welcome here. If there's anything that you would like me to touch on the spirit, please give me an email. I'm happy to help. And until next time, take care. And I have to go out to my car and get wet, but it's March. March is very unpredictable. Okay, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Ciao for now.